he's so wrecked by what happened that he flattens himself out into a cartoon character. For us, this episode, it's the end of something. This episode that we're talking about now, episode 9, this is the end. It's the end of, in some way, it's the end of their relationship. It's the end of this series that we've had with this couple who fell in love, and we got to see them fall in love. It's also the one time they actually say, "I love you." Mm-hmm. And to me, that has incredible power, all those things. And Ann Shirkus, who wrote the episode, of course, just crushed it. And Michael Morris, who directed it, did a remarkable job in his last episode for the show. And it's, those are, you asked, that's how we thought of it. We thought of it, it's how are we going to get to that? How is that, are they going to stay together or not? And we knew pretty early on that they weren't going to stay together, because it would just be depressing to think that she'd never learn anything.
You mentioned it being the end of something, and I was left with a lot of empathy for almost every single character in this series at the end of this episode, but also a really, really deep sadness because of just how profoundly lonely every single one of them is. And there's a moment for each one of these characters: Mike drinking beer alone, Gus walking away from this possible romance at the wine bar, the scene between Mike and Nacho's father, and the two of them walking away from one another, and then the very end with Kim closing the door, and then the very, very end with Jimmy fully Saul alone with his Bluetooth headpiece. And I was wondering, assuming that read is right, do you think it's because there's something that hollows out the people in this world when they touch this criminal underworld, this sort of decay, that it kind of hollows out their life? What do you think it is that makes it so profoundly lonely to be in Albuquerque?
That's a great question. I think it might be a slightly different story for each one of them.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of them, certainly for Mike and for Kim, it's about living with your decisions. It's about really taking in the choices that you've made. And in a different way, that's true for Gus. Gus is holding on to his rage, his desire for revenge. And maybe he's holding on to this romance that he had, with his boyfriend, Max, and Max's death. We know that Gus had some kind of, we've never been very specific. He had some kind of violent past before that, but that seems to be the turning point for Gus Fring. And so, he's made a choice that he's going to hollow himself out, and he can't really be himself with another person. And for Jimmy, I think I think it's a little different because Kim chooses to leave. She's changing what she's going to do, and Jimmy is so hurt. To me, that's what the ending is that the question we started with on the show was, what problem does becoming Saul Goodman solve? Mm-hmm. What are you trying to solve by becoming Saul Goodman? And I think this episode answers it, which is that he's so fucking hurt. Can I curse? Sorry.
Yeah.
He's so hurt. He's so hurt. He's so wrecked by what happened that he flattens himself out into a cartoon character. And it's terrible because now that during Breaking Bad, and even at the end of this scene, underneath all that is still the guy that we knew. I don't believe it's not a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde transformation. He's purposely flattening himself out. And that's painful. We all have personas. I think it's just a more extreme version of what we all do, because we all have personas that we develop usually in our teens. And then we're kind of stuck with it. We're stuck with it for life. And this is a guy who's he's chosen this persona. It's sort of like, the the guy in college who decides to wear the personality hat. So that was what it meant to me, or that's what we were thinking about.